Hello and welcome to British Asia News. You're watching the second episode of Influentially Inspiring, and I'm sitting with none other than a very inspiring person. Now, he's somebody who's from Sri Lanka, came to the UK when he was 2, and is a totally self-made man. His latest single, One More Time, has got all of us talking. But there are lots of other songs which are to his credit, like Soot Soot from Guru Randhawa, Tingo, and without taking much long, I'm going to delve straight into asking Arjun some of the biggest questions. How are you, Arjun?
I'm good, how are you?
Very well. Now this episode that we're doing today, Influentially Inspiring, it's more about men who are totally made, who have had their struggles, and you're one of them, I know that. Tell me, when you moved here to the UK, did you know that singing was something that you really wanted to do?
I was 2 when I came here, so it wasn't really at the time, but I feel like I've always been around kind of the arts. So my mum was very into music and art. So as a child I was always around mainly jazz music and soul music, more Western music actually. And actually it was my friends who got me more into Bollywood and my Indian friends. I mean, being from the UK, I mean there's a lot of Punjabis, Gujaratis, Sindhis in my area growing up, all of whom were very into Bollywood music. So I think my first girlfriend actually got me when I was about 15, got me into Bollywood. I think that was the moment I understood that I am kind of a fusion of these two worlds, East and West, is when I kind of embraced that fusion. I think that kind of comes across in my music. I think having that an element of R&B and I think comes from my upbringing, from my mum and my parents, and then the Eastern stuff is from my friends around me.
From where you've been brought up.
I think the key for me has always been that finding that kind of that perfect combination of the two. So like songs like Soot Soot, Punjabi and English, Tingo, Punjabi, English, and obviously Hindi and English. I think for me it's always been great to have that combination of the two sounds.
Would you ever do a pure Hindi song?
I'm learning Hindi. I'm not that strong in Hindi yet, but I have sung a couple of Hindi songs. I've done a few Bollywood songs with Feats series. I was signed to them for 4 years. I did a whole bunch of Hindi, but mainly fusion. I think for me the kind of the uniqueness comes from the fusion. I think obviously there's the Arjuns and the artists and people who sing in Hindi, and I can't really compete because I wasn't really brought up in that. You know, as well as I can sing in Hindi, my Hindi accent will always be a bit English, as you know. So to compete with people who sing in Hindi is tough. But I mean, I think what I could bring to India, which I've been trying to do, is more English. I think bringing that English R&B vibe to Bollywood. And I work with a whole bunch of producers, over there who want to capture that Western vibe. So I think, what I have is that diaspora market. It's the people from North America, from US, Canada, from Europe, from Australia, who are Asian, like us, who grew up, in the West, but have that Eastern, at home, their parents watching B4U and, Asian TV and, Asian movies and whatever. So I think that combination of the two, that is where this kind of the hotspot is for me. I think Indian labels have realized that I have that fan base, and I've used we kind of work together, and I've captured India through them, and they've captured the West through me. So
I think that's what makes you stand out, anyway, isn't it?
I thought, well, hopefully.
No, but I mean, from the sounds of it, and please correct me if I'm wrong, I've also heard that you had a full-time job before you actually started singing.
I mean, I am Asian, so my parents were not that. My dad was keen that I had that I could. Have a secure income of some kind. So obviously I went to university, and I wanted, at the age of 18, I was like, I want to be a singer. And my dad was like, no, you're not going to be a singer. As in a nice way. To be fair, I'd tell my kids the same thing. I don't think any parent would be that happy for their kid to without any fallback option. So, and then I briefly worked in marketing. So I worked at a record label, Universal Music, and then I worked in Unilever doing brand marketing for about 2 years. And while I was doing that, funnily enough, that was actually when I started my career on YouTube. So I was like a YouTube artist. I think that was kind of very, very bizarre time. So I'd be at work, weekdays I'd be working 9 to 5, and then
Sorry, how long ago is this?
It's a while ago, maybe 7 years ago.
It's important to know because at the time YouTube was still kind of upcoming.
It was still good, exactly, yeah. So I think it was.
Go on.
So the first song I think that really connected was Why This Color. I did a remix of Why This Color, the English version. So at the time I was basically I was working in an office, and my boss was like, "What are you doing here? Every weekend." So this song came out I think in 2012, and went very viral. And then I started getting inquiries from Australia, from Dubai, from Singapore, to kind of come and sing one song. So they were like, come to Australia and sing Collaborate. I'm like, okay, wow, okay. So I would do it, and I literally fly across the world. I'd, you know, tour, and then weekends I'd be abroad. Weekdays I'd be in the UK. And my boss was like, I saw you in Canada last weekend. Like, what are you doing? I was like, so, and I'm like, well, yeah. I mean, my dad's is keen that I have a job, so I'm trying to do both at the same time. And a bit like Batman, but like on the weekends I was someone else, and the weekdays I was working, you know, in office. So I think it was quite hard. I was exhausted, you know, I was having to juggle these two things. And then eventually it got to the point where my dad was like, you know what, you're probably making more money from music than you are from your job anyway. So at that point he was like, you know, give it a go. But it was terrifying because the minute that your sole income is from music, you have to find a way to make money. And actually having that comfortable income coming in meant that I could have, you know, kind of experiment with sound, you know, with different sounds and styles. And now it was like my one and only income source was from music. It was quite a terrifying feeling to be up, you know, kind of get up in the morning and find a way to make money somehow. So I think it was really steep learning curve, you know, as a singer, trying to work out the different revenue streams, how to make money from YouTube, from live shows, from merchandise, from, you know, publishing, you know, all these different worlds you have to, you know, learn about very, very fast. I think as a non-signed artist, at the time I wasn't signed to a label, so it was all me, myself, and, you know, my own team. And yeah, I think those were really fun years. I think, you know, learning, I kind of, as you go along, just kind of building a fan base. It was very like, you know, I go to somewhere like, you know, Dubai, and I do a tweet saying I'm in Dubai, in this restaurant. A restaurant. Come meet me, and we do like a flash mob meet and greet. We'd sell T-shirts. You know, there's like random. It was very like kind of like what's the word? Not pirate, but very like kind of
cool, you know, way of giving yourself out, right?
Yeah. So I think it was definitely that was a very fun period. But then I signed a deal with T-Series in India in 2015. And that kind of changed everything. Then the kind of the big marketing came in. You know, they put me on, you know, much bigger platforms on TV and radio, and, you know, and much bigger PR. Invest much more into my videos, and that was a different phase where I learned how to kind of operate with a big label behind me, and that was actually obviously very, very exciting too. But yeah.
But, you know, what I really want to touch upon, I mean, since we are now catering to the British Asian market, and I know you have a fan following of how many on YouTube? About 50, is it 50 something?
On YouTube?
Yes.
I think about 1 billion views.
Yeah. Sorry, I knew 50 million, but obviously it's
800k subscribers, something like that. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Okay. So if they were watching and you see lots of people, there's a little tiny hint of scare that they have, you know, in that transition from a job to a passion, which most people,
terrifying.
I think 95% of people are not ready to take,
or
they don't want to. I mean, what went for you? I mean, what was that you know, that period of, you know, going from resigning and starting something that you always wanted to do?
So to me, it was actually, I kind of had to do them at the same time. So it was kind of, it wasn't really I had to prove that I could make some money from music before I could really go into it. I would recommend somebody who's a young person who's starting out in the arts, whether it's music, whether it's modelling or whatever, acting, whatever it is, to maybe have a fallback option. Finish school, I think, have your education. I think it's kind of important to have that as a fallback option. And then I think there's two ways of doing it. Either you just go for it, just give it a go, and if it doesn't work out after a few years, then you have your education to come back to. Or what I did, which is a little bit more time consuming, is you work in a conventional job which allows you to have that kind of that income coming in, and then in your free time you have to hustle really hard. So evenings, weekends, you go to events, you network, you do everything you can. So I think that for me was tiring, but it's actually, in a way, the pressure was taken off because I had an income coming in. When you're struggling, when you're an artist and you have no money coming in, you can't pay the rent, then it's tricky to be creative because you're just always stressed out. Whereas if you have an income coming in of some kind, then it becomes like a passion. It's just a side, it's a fun hobby, and if it works out, it works out. So I think for me, obviously with Asian parenting, my parents were keen that I had a job of some kind, so they weren't going to let me just be on the streets.
Like most of us. So Arjun, being an artist comes with a whole lot of responsibilities. What were yours?
Well, there's quite a few. I feel like being an artist, the hardest thing that I've found is getting the balance between being creative and being true to yourself as an artist and getting across what you want to do and appealing to the mass market. I think there's definitely always a compromise to make. Because obviously, as an artist, you grow up with a certain taste in music you want to portray, and I feel like that to me has always been more the R&B thing. But I feel like, and the Asian thing as well, but I feel like sometimes there have been moments in my career where I've known that to kind of apply a certain formula will get me success on a different level in terms of mass reach, a different type of appeal, maybe more so in India versus in the UK. So I think I went to a point where I think I became very, very Indian in terms of very Bollywood with T-series. Well, where I wasn't really comfortable. I think it was getting lots of views, lots of streams, and lots of sales. It was doing really, really well, but it just didn't feel like me. It felt like it was almost like it was too much of a different thing. I think so. Now I kind of have my time, half of the time I spend in India doing Bollywood stuff, and now I do pure English stuff and fusion stuff. I think that global market is important to me. So kind of having to tick every box is important, but it has to be the right sound of music for me to be happy with. So Suit is perfect. It's great. It has a very Western beat to it.
Yeah.
Even though it's got Punjabi, it still can be played in a Western club. I think it can work and can go the same. One last time is the same. So I feel like I think that formula has to be there. That there's certain songs of mine, I won't name them, that I'm not actually in love with myself, that have done really well, but have not really been my cup of tea. So yeah. But the ones that
I am so tempted to ask which those songs are.
No, it's all good. It's all good.
Okay, well, I mean, you talk about One Last Time, but I'm going to come on to that. I have another question just before that. You're one person whose fan base kind of multiplied at a very fast pace. And even today, when you go, your crowds are full, your stadiums are full, your concert halls are full. What is the one thing that's going through your head? Because and you don't seem touchable, you don't seem to disappoint at any time. So for your fans to be there, they come with an expectation, and you meet those expectations. So my question to you is that, what is it that you see just before you move on to the stage? What is going through your head? Is there pressure? Is there something that you're thinking, oh my god, I can do this differently, maybe my fans are going to be happy this way? What's happening?
Yeah, I mean, when I first started out, I had a lot of stage fright. I was quite nervous, the early years I was quite young, and I would definitely be panicking and be like, oh my god, especially the big shows, the big Times Square in New York, or like, some massive arena, and it was, Wembley Arena or something like that. It definitely was a little bit terrifying early on. I've been doing this for quite a long time now, maybe about 8-9 years, so I think, now it's almost like a formula. I feel like the nerves aren't really there anymore. It's more so excitement. I feel like I honestly I go on stage and I feel like I kind of transform into a different person. I kind of go into that mold of being like Arjun artist versus Arjun, at home. So I think it's definitely like I feel very comfortable now on stage. I really enjoy that interaction. And someone who sits in a studio and makes music, that real personal connection with the fans is really important. When you meet them in person, I love to meet fans and talk to them and ask them questions. I think that's how you evolve as an artist. Because the fans are what make you who you are, really. So I feel like being at home working music, you feel quite disconnected, and then when you do a live show, you feel very connected to your fans, to like real life people. Yeah. So I think now before I go on stage, I just think I'm excited. I think it's always fun. Yeah.
I mean, you do talk about going back home. You're a completely different person. Who is that man behind that face? Well, everybody knows Arjun as the Arjun with a good-looking eye, always there on stage, has stage presence. But what's happening at home for you?
At home, I think my friends know me as being a bit of a dork, like a bit of a goof, and pretty chilled out. I feel like I definitely go into a different mode when I'm on stage. I think I'm pretty easygoing, and definitely can be quite ditzy. I'm very forgetful. I'm like a bit blonde. I tend to forget lots of things. So I can be a bit of a baby sometimes. But I feel like definitely I feel like there's an element of me that's the same as the Arjun artist. But I think there's elements of me that are a bit more
personal.
Yeah, reserved and shy. Yeah.
Yeah. I cannot help myself but now start speaking about your One Last Time. Okay, now this song was released just about 4 weeks ago?
2 weeks ago, yeah.
2 weeks ago. And now, this one is straight from the heart, completely opens up your personal life. And if I'm wrong, correct me if I'm wrong, this is about your wife, Natasha Sander, who you married a year ago.
Yeah.
Was it Feb 2018?
2018, yeah.
Yeah. And she happened to unfortunately pass away in September 2018. Yes? So that wasn't a long time. However, you did know her before. Now, it's very difficult probably for you to come out of there, and it's okay if you want to maybe touch on it or not touch on it. But how difficult was it for you to write that song, and what did that do for you?
Yeah, so I think as my fans are aware, I took a break for maybe about 6 months off of everything. Really, just was kind of like on my own, just trying to rebuild. Kind of get back on track. I think that was important to have that time to fully just be away from social media and all that kind of stuff. I think, but really when I came back onto Instagram and I came back onto, just into real life, I feel like that support that I saw from not just from my family and friends, but from the wider, from their fan base, from people who I didn't even know, who was, sent me very, very detailed and very lovely, texts saying, they've been through something similar, their father passed away, their wife passed away. So I think that was very, very helpful. That kind of helped me to really connect, back into the kind of real world. And then I started touring again, which helped a lot. I think, being back on the road, being out of London, I think being here, it was quite tough, with our families and memories and stuff here. So, I think being abroad helped a lot. And yeah, it was obviously a slow process of kind of trying to rebuild and, get back on track. I feel like there's a long way to go still. But the song was very therapeutic, I was able to kind of, get a lot off my chest. It was quite a very, personal song. And, writing it was kind of like a therapy almost, like, being able to kind of talk to her and kind of express how I felt. And yeah, I think it was definitely it took a while, it took about almost 18 months, I think, to write it. But I think the process of doing it has definitely helped me. I think it's kind of like, I feel a lot more kind of lighter having released that, that energy that is out there. And also just to kind of make the world aware of her, because I think my fans weren't really aware that we were married, and that was actually my wife. So I think they knew her as part of my team, or part of my part of my
your right
PR.
hand.
Right, exactly, right hand. So I think that was a big shock for them as well. And I think just to see that that real side of us and how we were was a big shock. I think it's nice that I'm able to kind of honor her and give her that kind of immortalized side through my song. Kind of have her out there on the world to see. And I think it's nice that she's been talked about in a very positive way. And yeah, I think it's been a good experience for sure.
And just on that, you've got an event now that you're planning in February with lots of artists, Guru and Thawa being one. They're all coming down to the UK, and all proceeds going to charity. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
So it is, I think it's February 16th at the Paul Hammersmith in London. It's one of, I think, the biggest shows that UK scene. It has a artist lineup: Guru, Mickey Singh, Vidya Vox, Jaggi D, Rackstar, Jazz Dami, a whole bunch of guys. And I think the aim is to kind of celebrate her life. It's not to be depressing and whatever. It's to have a good time. And yeah, all the proceeds go to CRY, which is the cardiac risk in the young, which is a charity very close to her. Obviously, I mean, Tash passed away from a heart defect. So yeah, so I think the aim is to obviously raise awareness, money, and also have a good time, in her name. So yeah,
I love it. I love the positivity that you're exuberating on this. I think just for all our viewers as well, if you are planning to see Arjun next, he will be live performing with lots of other artists on February the 16th at Apollo Hammersmith.
Yes.
All proceeds again going to charity, and this is in honor of his wife, Natasha Sandhu. He's a totally inspiring person for me, and I hope most of our viewers and fans do get inspired by Arjun again. Stay tuned, there'll be a lot more people coming up, and thank you for watching.